Hi, this is Loren Lockman. I'm speaking to you from the Tanglewood Wellness Center in Costa Rica. And today I'm going to answer some basic questions for you. If you've just come to this website, you might be wondering, what is water-only fasting all about? Well, today I'm going to answer some of the most common questions. And I've got somebody here with me who has just recently completed the process with me, and she's going to be asking me the questions that we often hear here.
So Loren, why would you recommend 21 days to water fast?
Well, I don't necessarily recommend 21 days. I recommend however long each person needs based on what's going on in their body. What we found over the 15 years and with more than 2,000 people having fasted here is that for significant cleansing and healing to occur, whether someone's coming in with a serious disease or they simply want to create the highest level of health possible, 21 days is a good minimum amount of time for someone to plan on to see really significant benefits. You benefit from fasting for a week or 2 weeks or whatever you can do, but when people come and spend a minimum of 4 weeks here fasting 21 days and having the last 7 days for refeeding, they invariably see amazing results.
And so why would you recommend a fast to be supervised?
Well, fasting is a natural process and it's usually completely safe, but sometimes fasting often can be very difficult for people who have never been through this process before, who may not understand what is and is not okay in terms of what's happening in their body physiologically during the fast, and who need to be in a supportive environment with that kind of experienced supervision. So some people do fine fasting on their own, and some people get themselves into serious trouble. And most people find that this is the single most powerful, transformative, and beneficial thing they've ever done. Although there's an investment involved, finding a fasting center where you feel comfortable, where you feel understood, and you are going to feel supported can really be one of the most important things that you can ever do.
And how is water fasting different than juice fasting or any other detox regimen?
Well, the word fasting today is used in many different contexts, but the dictionary definition of fasting, the definition that we're using here, is the complete abstinence from all nutriment. So today many people talk about juice feasting rather than juice fasting, because if you're consuming calories or nutrients of any kind, you're not technically fasting. But this is not a technical difference. It's much more significant than that. The issue is that processing food, and this is any kind of food, regardless of how light it might seem to be or how healthy it might seem to be, processing any food through your system requires more energy than anything else you'll ever do. Roughly 50% of your body's energy every day or more as your diet gets heavier or worse, more toxic. If you're drinking juices, your body is still expending roughly half its energy processing those juices through the system. And that means there's relatively little energy left over to cleanse and heal your system, with 50% for digestion and process assimilation and 35% for your brain and central nervous system. That leaves 15% of your daily energy for every other thing that you need to do, including cleansing and healing. Drinking juices are a little bit less work for the body than processing an optimal diet, but not that much less. When someone is water-only fasting and consuming no nutrients or calories at all, their body can take all of that energy that would have been used for processing calories and nutrients and use it instead for cleansing and healing. And this is why we see miraculous things here for people, even when they've already done many juice fasts. They come here and spend 21 days or more fasting, and we see things shifting that hadn't been able to shift for 10, 20, or sometimes 30 years or more.
Will water fasting heal any condition?
Well, technically water fasting won't heal any condition at all, because the healing is actually happening by the body itself. The reason that water-only fasting is such a powerful tool is that it's the only thing that we can do to really take ourselves out of the body's way. Anything else we're doing, we're essentially attempting to manipulate the body into getting the results that we're looking for. And this is true whether it's hydrotherapy or it's supplements or juices or whatever it might be. it's important to understand that although this sounds crazy to most people and it's radical, it's a radical idea to most people, there are millions of other species on the planet, and virtually every one of them, when sick enough or badly enough injured, will lie down and stop eating. Fasting is nature's way of allowing the organism to get out of its own way so the body can cleanse and heal.
Can you talk a little bit about type 2 diabetes, and is it easy to reverse through water fasting?
Type 2 diabetes is very easy to reverse through water fasting. We've seen 100% success so far with about 50 clients over the 15 years.
How about type 1 diabetes?
Type 1 diabetes is much more challenging. A type 1 diabetic is going to wind up having a much more difficult time while fasting. So we'll take only a very select group of type 1 diabetics with a very particular profile.
And does water fasting help you lose weight?
Absolutely. If you're consuming only water, you will lose weight. There's no way around that. The average person is going to lose about 21 pounds in 21 days. Someone who is, as I like to say, wealthy in nutrient reserves is likely to lose much more than that. Someone who's very, very lean when they start will lose less. Now, if you're watching this and may have a condition you want to deal with but don't want to lose weight, what you want to understand is that cleansing the body does require breaking down fat and therefore being able to eliminate the toxins stored within. You may wind up completing your fast at a lighter weight than would be ideal for you, but there's nothing to worry about because gaining weight after the fast is not difficult to do if you know what you're doing.
And what are some common symptoms to be expected during a water fast?
Well, it's important to understand that every symptom that we ever experience is evidence that the body is cleansing or healing. So when we give the body the complete license and opportunity to cleanse and heal by resting completely and fasting, and to rest completely you have to fast, and to fast properly you have to rest as completely as possible. If we're doing that, we can expect almost any symptom to come up, because again, every symptom is evidence the body's cleansing or healing. So which symptoms arise will depend on what's going on in a particular person's body. The most common things, though, blood pressure is going to fall, and that means there will be a tendency to get a little bit dizzy. This will be exacerbated if someone's not consuming enough water. So we'll watch that very carefully. We can tell whether someone's getting enough water or not by checking their vital signs every day, which is what we do here, and being able to properly interpret those. Body temperature is likely to drop, and that means that even here in the tropics, where we have beautiful days that require no more than shorts and light shirts every day, in the evening when it starts to cool off, if you're fasting, you may find that you're going to be much cooler than you normally would be, and so you'll want to be prepared for that. Other than that, what happens will vary from person to person depending on the toxicity in their body, the specific issues going on for them, and their level of vitality when they start.
Okay. Speaking of water intake, can you explain a little bit of the hydration process?
Okay, well, first of all, the average person coming into this process, the average person I've measured over the last 5 years using pretty sophisticated bioimpedance analysis, has shown up to be about 15% dehydrated. And that's a pretty serious thing. And so what happens is that the reason people are so dehydrated is largely as a result of what they've been eating and drinking and the lifestyle choices they've been making. And even when someone's drinking a lot of water, eating an optimal diet, they're still going to have a very difficult time getting hydrated if they don't get the body clean first. And that happens because whether the body is attempting to cleanse itself through the urinary tract, through the colon, through the skin, through the mucous membranes, through the breath, the 5 primary channels, each one of those channels requires water. Water is the universal transport medium. If there isn't enough water in the system, then those things aren't going to happen properly. As we drink water, there's 2 problems. First of all, a body that hasn't been cleaned out yet is going to be attempting to use every drop of water coming in for that process of cleansing. And because there isn't enough, it's almost never going to happen. And the reason that it happens that way, where there isn't enough, is because the water that we drink tends to be about 10 to 20 times harder to get into your cells than the water in our perfect foods. So it can be hard if we've been eating the way most people do. It's very hard to all of a sudden start eating properly or drinking enough water to ever reverse that situation. Once we get cleaned out, it gets very easy if after the fast we eat properly, high water content foods. It's relatively easy to get rehydrated over the course of a few months.
And so what do I do to keep my body clean after a fast?
Well, keeping your body clean after a fast is really as simple as learning how to meet all of your body's needs as nature intended. That means eating properly, it means getting enough sleep, it means getting enough exercise and activity, enough rest. It means finding constructive ways to deal with the emotions and the things that come up in your life. It means making sure that you're breathing the cleanest air possible, that you're taking in and exposing yourself to the cleanest water possible. Meeting all of these needs, your body will have the chance to maintain a high level of vitality, to maintain a high level of hydration, and therefore to cleanse itself on an ongoing basis. It's not that if you can find and stay in a pristine environment, great, it becomes even easier. But even if you're going back into civilization, into cities where the air may not be clean, you may be exposing yourself to things that are more challenging, a clean and properly functioning system is able to deal with those things in real time to keep the body clean.
And can I clean my body in just one fast?
Well, one fast, if it's long enough, will have an amazingly powerful effect on how clean your system is. Can you completely cleanse your body with one fast? For most people, the answer is probably no. I've taken more than 2,000 people through the process, and I haven't seen anyone completely cleanse the body yet. Now, how we know that is because when someone is completing their fast, well, they may still have some cleansing to do, and that's obvious. And we see people come back, and they've made perfect choices, and they're still cleansing when they're finished, and they're eating properly, and when they come back and fast again, as many people choose to do, there's still ongoing cleansing to do. Now, we can get to the point where there's little, if any, cleansing necessary. And when that happens, one of the things that you'll experience is little to no body odor, no need for toothpaste. You'll find that if you try skipping meals, you do a short fast, there'll be no symptoms whatsoever. You feel perfectly fine. If your body doesn't cleanse anymore when you give it a chance to, you're resting completely, that's probably because it doesn't need to. Now, this is assuming you've already gotten your body clean. It's entirely possible to have someone whose vitality is so low that they stop eating and it appears that nothing is happening because their body just doesn't have enough energy to initiate the cleansing process. But in that case, they're going to have body odor. They're probably going to have bad breath. There's going to be things going on that make it clear and obvious that their system's not functioning as well as possible.
Thank you for addressing these questions.
It's my pleasure.